Standing in the wake of this train wreck, my heart is beating faster in my chest. This depression terrifies me. When I'm awake, it's like these thoughts, they paralyze me. I don't wanna feel like this. I don't wanna feel like this. Time stops, weightless and cold. Silence burns like fire while my fears unfold. There's panic. Tooth to my cheek, too hard to speak without you. Lungs drain to air. Life feels unfair without you. Come back to me. Don't leave me to dream about you. Dream about you. Dream about you. How can I breathe without you? How can I breathe without you? Without you. What is left to say when the sky falls? I'm staring at your ghost in the stars. There's not a day that I don't miss you. The feeling swelling overflow. It's like I see you, hear you. I don't wanna feel like this. Why do I still feel like this? Heart ripped out of my brain. I sit here talking to myself. I think I'm going insane. Tooth to my cheek, too hard to speak without you. Lungs drain to air. Life feels unfair without you. Come back to me. Don't leave me to dream about you. Dream about you. Dream about you. How can I breathe without you? How can I breathe without you? The only way to fix this, the only way to fix this pain inside, the only way to fix this is a deep breath in as you say goodbye.
I kick ass for the Lord.
What about me?
I never loved him the way that I love you. Just drops the mic.
Bit me with his butt.
Can't see it from here.
What about the panty?
What about the panty? What's up, Butters? What's up? Not Butters. I'm not going to say Butters this week. Welcome in, everybody. This is 52/1993, the movie conversation podcast where we talk about 52 movies from the year 1993. And sometimes we change the rules and we'll change the movie midweek without, informing a lot of people because that's what we do here. And I just want to welcome you all in and let you know that we're going to be talking about a movie that comes out a little bit later in the year of 1993 because we had some issues with the original movie not being able to be streamed anywhere. Unfortunately, Heart and Souls, starring Robert Downey Jr., was nowhere to be streamed, which made it very, very difficult. And I wanted to make sure that people could at least watch the movie or had seen it. I anticipate a lot of people hadn't seen Heart and Souls before. So we changed the movie to the Disney classic, The Three Musketeers, which I had debates about choosing early anyway when I was doing the final 52 list, because I just choose movies kind of like cultural importance, whether or not they were really, really bad movies or really good movies of this year. I choose them that way. And this one was really important to me in my childhood. So I went ahead and chose that. And I switched the movie on our guest host, Alyssa, this week. So we tried very hard to find that. Welcome in, Alyssa. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Alyssa, had you ever seen either of the movies that I chose, Heart and Souls or The Three Musketeers?
No, this was my first watch for Three Musketeers, and I never even heard of Heart and Souls, unfortunately. So very sorry, but I did not know that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll figure it out. I want people to watch it just because it's early Robert Downey Jr. and a career kind of before Robert Downey Jr. went through his downs and then up again with Iron Man. So I think it's a really good movie to see what we kind of missed out on in the 90s for Robert Downey Jr. because I think he is a very charismatic actor during that time. But unfortunately, the only way to see that movie is very illegally. And we don't encourage that here. I'm not saying I'm against it by any means.
You wouldn't steal a car, would you?
Oh my gosh, those previews that came on before every DVD. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal it. No. But yeah, there's some pirates out there, I'm sure, that have been able to find it. I'm pretty sure Spencer's a little upset with me about switching the movie on him this week. And
Sorry, Spencer.
yeah, sorry, Spencer. I don't even know if he's here right now. But if he were here, I would apologize to him. And if he's not here, screw him, honestly. Because, yeah, he deserves it. I don't know. But we're watching The Three Musketeers this week, and I will talk a little bit about that, and then I'll kind of get I want to know your overall feelings of this movie, because I am clouded when I talk about this movie, clouded with some judgment for this movie. And I'm eager to see somebody who's never seen this with fresh eyes, fresh ears, and really give it to me and tell me how bad this movie is, if it is really bad. So let's go through some of the details of this movie before we start talking about it. So again, the movie's title is The Three Musketeers. It came out November 12th, 1993. It was directed by Stephen Herrick, who is he's been a director for a long time. He's directed such things as Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which is an amazing movie. The Mighty Ducks, which is another amazing Disney movie. Mr. Holland's Opus, another amazing Disney movie. This guy just puts out those, like, I would probably say mid-tier Disney classics. I mean, the live action classics, and haven't heard much from, like, he's obviously done some different projects over the years, but the 90s were this guy's kind of heyday, especially when he's working with Disney. So this was, go ahead.
Was Bill and Ted Disney?
It was not. That is
I
not a
didn't think
Disney
so.
classic, but it's a classic nonetheless. I love that
Yes.
movie. I love Bill and Ted, period. So the writer for this movie is David Lowery. Obviously, this is based on the novel written by Alexandre Dumas, a famous writer of these Musketeer series, and it's been adapted time and time and time again. And we'll probably talk about that when we do a little maybe recasting, or hopefully get into a discussion about that and who we think might be good or what we might think would be good if they do readapt. But in the case of this, who would be good in this specific movie if they were to just redo it. The cast for this movie stars a lot of people that shined bright in the late 80s, and newcomer Chris O'Donnell stars as the D'Artagnan, our main character, who the audience is seeing everything through. D'Artagnan. Chris O'Donnell's kind of a heartthrob here in the early 90s, coming off of Sin of a Woman. And he's just, I mean, those blue eyes, that's all I have to say. Those baby blues, they're just out there. Kiefer Sutherland plays Athos. Oliver Platt plays Porthos. Charlie Sheen plays Aramis. Tim Curry's in this as Cardinal Richelieu. Gabrielle Anwar, also from Son of a Woman, playing Queen Anne. Julie Delpy playing Constance. Michael Wincott playing Rochefort. Rebecca De Mornay as Milady de Winter, or Sabine, as she's called. Hugh O'Connor playing King Louis. And Paul McGann playing Gerard, who actually is famous, probably more famous and more well-known for being the 8th Doctor, Doctor Who. Which he was just on for a couple things, but he's probably the Doctor Who that's done the least amount. But it was nice to know that that's where that guy came from. The synopsis for this movie is D'Artagnan travels to Paris hoping to become a musketeer, one of the French king's elite bodyguards, only to discover that the corps has been disbanded by conniving Cardinal Richelieu, who secretly hopes to usurp the throne. Fortunately, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis have refused to lay down their weapons and continue to protect the king. D'Artagnan joins with the rogues to expose Richelieu's plot against the crown. This movie had a budget of $30 million and the box office return of $111 million, making it the 21st biggest box office of that year. Rotten Tomatoes score and other reviews here. Rotten Tomatoes gives this a 30%. And IMDb a lot higher here with a 6.4 out of 10. Probably a lot of people like me that really, really enjoyed this movie when they were younger and have looked back on it fondly. Roger Ebert said, "It must have been great fun to make it. What young actor doesn't want to dash around on horseback and engage in swashbuckling sword fights? But it's not that much fun to watch. It's all sound and energy without plan or meaning." He gave it 2 out of 4 stars. And I really, for the time in 1993, I could not find a positive review. So this one's a little bit newer. Wow. It says, "What the Three Musketeers lacks in poeticism, it makes up for in entertainment value at least." That was by Felix Vasquez Jr. of the website Cinema Crazed. All right. I'm going to go through it. So, Alyssa, what's your initial thoughts? What'd you think?
I'm so sorry. I unfortunately have to agree with Roger Ebert. I kind of got bored.
Okay.
I apologize in advance. I have scenes, I have things written down, I have notes, but like somewhere in the middle, I got lost.
Yeah.
And I do think if I saw this as a child, I would have loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It does have that action, that adventure. But watching it for the first time as an adult, I was kind of like, I am gonna go on my phone.
Oh, wow.
I'm so sorry.
No, this is what I wanted, honestly. This is exactly what I wanted.
And I will say, not a bad movie. Like, I don't think it was bad. I just think I got bored.
Yeah.
Because that will come up later with my ranking. Mm-hmm. Like my star rating. I was like, didn't think it was bad. I just got bored.
Okay. No, this is exactly what I wanted. Again, my vision of this movie is clouded. I watched this movie a lot as a child. Like I said, my sisters and I watched this movie. It's playing in the background. This is our actual copy from my childhood home that I've got on here. It still has my sister's old address on there, just in case she ever lost this movie. I quote this movie to this day. There are lines from this movie that I will still quote with my sister too. Mostly
one.
What?
Can I guess one?
Which one?
Give my regards to your sister.
No.
That sounds like something you would say.
No, that's actually not one of them. I'll let you know, because I'm sure it is a line that we'll talk about. But
okay.
Yeah, I just felt like this movie was instantly quotable. My oldest sister is who I'm talking about here, and she was in love with Chris O'Donnell. I mean, this guy's a beautiful, beautiful man, but she was in love with Chris O'Donnell, and so by association, I was like watching this movie more and more than I probably should have. And she's watching it for beauty reasons. I'm watching it just because I love sword fights or adventure and comedy. That is one part of this movie where I think one thing I will say about this movie is I think every actor is, or not every actor, but I think several actors are in different movies than what they're not acting for the movie that they're currently in, or maybe they're just doing this movie for a paycheck. Because this one, I just watched it, reevaluating it and looking at some of the performances. Some of them are really, really weak. And unfortunately, I see that now. I took off my rose-colored glasses, my Chris O'Donnell colored glasses, and I can see clearly now. So that's what I honestly, when I asked you that I knew what I was going to what was going to happen, or what I was going to get, because I feel like Spencer, when I had briefly talked to him, said the same thing or a similar thing. So I like to have that opposing view. So I'm glad that you're here to talk about this with me and tell me that it sucks, even though it's not like, it doesn't suck, but
Yeah, it's not bad.
yeah,
Just-
absolutely. So let's kick this thing off, and let's talk about the 4 to 5 scenes that really make up this movie. I will start with you. What do you have? And I'm sure you cheated like me.
Actually, I tried my best not to cheat this time.
Okay.
I did start with the opening chase scene.
Okay.
Because that's how you kind of establish who D'Artagnan is. He's kind of a hothead. He's kind of a ladies' man. He's pissing people off, and he can fight, and he wants to be a musketeer.
Mm-hmm.
So you get everything about him in that opening chase scene.
I agree. And that chase scene, kind of like the opener where he is fighting Gerard. You're exactly right. Even in that conversation with Gerard, everything about D'Artagnan in the first 5 minutes of this movie.
And this is just a side note, but my first initial thought of Gerard was that he looks like the lead singer of Twisted Sister.
Oh, he kind of does. You're right.
That's all I could think of.
This D. Snyder-esque. Yeah. And
is that Twisted Sister?
And I know this is like France, 17th century France, maybe 18th century France. I don't know. I'm struggling. But like his face is a little bit whiter. Like maybe he put on some foundation that day. And Gerard, I'm saying.
They picked a dude who looked like they pulled him out of the 1700s.
And I quote that part where he screams D'Artagnan's name several times in the movie, and it's very high pitched, and I will go D'Artagnan. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You get a great establishment of character, and then it leads into, we basically get to know everybody within the first 10 to 15 minutes of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
In the chase scene, does that leads into him meeting Constance, right?
Yes.
Constance, who he meets very briefly, but they have I think that's like the most chemistry, or that's maybe the best acting that Chris O'Donnell does in the entire movie, is just between him and Julie Delpy's character. And it's very brief, and they instantly fall in love with each other, but it's not that important to the story.
No.
At all. So anything else you want to talk about that scene specifically? I didn't include that scene. I went a little bit further into the movie. So
no, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Which we might have the same second, like my second, your first scene.
My second scene is my first scene, sorry, is the meeting of the Musketeers.
Mm-hmm.
When D'Artagnan gets to Paris, he learns that the Musketeers have all been disbanded, and he meets Athos, Kiefer Sutherland's character, and kind of gets a little mouthy with him, and doesn't really understand. And so they get challenged to a duel, and to meet at a certain time behind the whatever. I don't even remember what it was. And then as he is going throughout the city. I think the chase continues from Gerard. Yeah. And that leads him to come across the other Musketeers, Porthos, who challenges him to a duel and also talks about how famous he is and has the sash from the Queen of America and basically challenges Porthos just based on his lies that he's telling, and then meets Aramis as well, who is seducing a woman but also being godly at the same time. Like Charlie Sheen being the Christ, the Christ following figure in this is a really funny scene to me. And so he gets challenged to 3 duels, all within hours of each other, and then ends up meeting up with all 3 of these guys to duel them. And again, it's a good establishing scene or scenes of where we get to know each one of their personalities for the future of the movie.
My second scene was when the 3 duels get interrupted.
Oh, okay.
So that's I kind of went past the meeting them, because it's like when they've all 3 of them meet D'Artagnan in their location, wherever they picked. That's when you get to know, hey, they're the Musketeers, because you didn't know that as you were running around, or he didn't know that as he was running around. And then the scene gets interrupted, and then they all 4 have to fight together. Yes. So that's kind of, I jumped a little ahead of you.
No, but that is good. One thing I love about the intros to these scenes are, again, the comedy, using Charlie Sheen a little bit for comedy, but Oliver Platt using Porthos is the most comic figure in this. I've never read Three Musketeers, so I don't know if that's accurate in the books, but Porthos is amazing. Talking about basically the whole point of him is that he is a storyteller. People like Porthos because he will tell them stories. They don't care if they're true or not. And he's famous among people and lets everybody know it. I really related to Porthos. He's also the bigger one of the 3. So he's a little bit more portly. Maybe that's why he's named Porthos. I don't know.
This is the first, and this is again showing my lack of movie knowledge. This is the first and only movie I have seen Charlie Sheen in. I've only seen him in 2.5 Men.
Oh yeah.
If I've seen him in anything else, I don't know it. Like maybe he's a side character and I had no idea. It took me 5 minutes to figure out that was Charlie Sheen.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because he had a mullet, he had a goatee, and he was like quoting the Bible, and I was like, "Ooh, this guy!" I was like, "He's cute," and then I was like, "That is Charlie Sheen."
Wow.
I was shocked.
No, but you're not wrong. Like Charlie Sheen was a hot item. I mean, he filmed Hot Shots the same year, Hot Shots Part 2. I mean, he was a hot commodity at this time, like a really well-known actor, and people wanted him, and especially his comedy chops and things like that. So like, you're not wrong to think of that. It's just, Charlie Sheen for being Charlie Sheen. And he does kind of pivot in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, that to TV. He was in Spin City, taking over for Michael J. Fox, and then turned it into 2.5 Men, which is what most people know him for. And then his Tiger Blood thing that he was into.
I think I missed that
the part. #winning. You remember winning?
I do remember #winning. I forgot that was where it originated.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he said he drank tiger's blood.
I missed that part.
Yeah. I actually in college I had applied to be his intern at one point. There was like a contest. I could have been an assistant to him. I'm sure he chose somebody a lot prettier than me. if I was betting.
Possibly.
Yeah, probably. But no, he's pretty great at, like, and Kiefer Sutherland too. Like, this is kind of the era of Kiefer Sutherland before he becomes Jack 24. Bauer. Yeah. He's
24 guy, right?
Yeah, Agent Jack Bauer from 24.
I've never seen an episode of 24, and I'm like, that's 24 guy.
Yeah. Kiefer Sutherland often played like a bad guy in 80s movies, 80s teen movies. He's in Lost Boys, Stand By Me. he's got a couple other ones. There's one that's him and Oliver Platt are both in. Gosh, I can't. It's called Flatliners, and the whole thing is it's like this group of doctors where they go to the other side. They let themselves die, and then the other doctors bring them back from the dead. But it's like a high that they get is by dying and getting resuscitated.
Ew.
So it's and it's like a horror movie kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
So he was a pretty big deal. Oliver Platt, I mean, he was in Indecent Proposal, which we had already talked about this year, and kind of has a career of being like, oh yeah, that guy from that thing. I remember him. He kind of has a career like that. So he's in The Bear, I think, prominently, that from FX. So yeah. So all those guys. Sorry, I just unloaded a ton of uselessness for you, but yeah, that's pretty funny that you had never seen a Charlie Sheen performance other than 2.5 Men.
No, and I see in the chat, sounds like somebody didn't watch Hot Shots, and no, I didn't. I'm very sorry.
It's a funny movie, though. You would like it if you like Airplane.
I do love Airplane.
Yeah, so I think you would like it. He's really good at the parody movies. That guy, he has some good comedic timing. Anything else that we get from? Well, in the duel, we do get another important thing when the Musketeers ride off after fighting and killing the guard, and D'Artagnan stays and gets cornered by the Cardinal's guards again, and Rochefort is there, and you kind of get this weird vibe with Rochefort about the sword that D'Artagnan has, and he takes his sword and everything.
Never trust a dude with an eye patch.
I know. Never trust a dude with an eye patch. You know who would look good with an eye patch?
Me.
I was going to say Joseph, but you would look good with an eye patch.
You're
Joseph
would look good with an eye patch.
He wants to be that guy. He wants to be the guy that wears an eye patch. So
I can see it.
We'll propose that next time for it. Okay, what's your third scene? Or yeah, what's your next scene?
D'Artagnan in the jail learning the plan.
Okay, this is working out really well because we are having different scenes. I love it.
Okay. No, so he overhears Tim Curry, the Cardinal's character, unloading his plan to kill the king, essentially, because he's attempting to escape jail, but he's like still lurking around, and then he gets caught. But that's how the audience learns the plan. That's how he learns the plan. He can take it back to the Three Musketeers. So that's it's just a good info grabbing scene.
And that is what a lot of this movie is in the first 20 to 30 minutes is, hey, we're giving you everything, exposition galore, because we get introduced to Rebecca De Mornay's character, Milady de Winter. Milady. I hated that she's kind of listed as Milady, and I was like, that's what you just say to some, like, Milady, like, I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, we get introduced to Milady de Winter, who's very sexualized early on, and very, very bustier.
Yeah, Tim Curry is definitely a boob guy in this movie. Like, a lot of staring, a lot of like, sir.
Excuse me, sir, up here, please.
Yes, just
my eyes are up here. No, yeah, that was very apparent. Me and Tim Curry, whatever. Tim Curry's great in this as the villain, but Rebecca De Mornay, the secret spy thing that she's got, she's sexy, she's a spy, she could kill you, she'll chop off your dick.
She killed a guy.
She's killed a guy, she said so. But yeah,
she does make that comment that she will chop off I didn't quite understand at the second, and I was like, oh yeah, chop off his dick.
I have that written down. I have that one written down. I'll go ahead and say it. Cardinal Richelieu in that scene says, "A word of caution, milady. A snap of my fingers and you could be back on the block where I found you." And she responds with, "And with a flick of my wrist, I could change your religion," as she has her knife in his crotch. And I was like, a little bit of me is like, what does she mean by change your religion? Does that mean, like, is she saying, like, if I chop off your dick, that's kind of like a circumcision? L'chaim? Is that what she's saying?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, but she's gonna chop off the
See,
whole
that's
thing.
Yeah, that's why I didn't catch it at first, because I was like caught up on what does she mean by religion? Oh, dick.
Yeah. I loved it. That was good.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good. What's your next one?
The King's birthday.
Oh, okay. So I've got
jumped
a.
way ahead.
Yes, you definitely
We learn
did.
about the King's birthday. We go to the King's birthday.
That's right.
Because everything in between was kind of where I was not paying attention.
Oh my gosh! See, I love some of these scenes very much.
Like I know they went to the tavern and they
Yeah, that's my next scene.
Okay, I was kind of like, eh.
Oh, I love it.
Sorry.
I call it the winching scene.
The wenching scene.
Because to winch, I guess, is to just like hit on random women or pick up
and get
random
them to kiss you.
and get them to kiss you. And again, you get they do this, I mean, deliberately, but like split up the Musketeers and give you views of each one of them, just telling you more and more of the same stuff. But like Porthos sitting there saying like, oh, the key to winching is just grab them and kiss them passionately and whatever. And then Aramis is like, no. You have to use words. You have to recite poetry. And he recites some poetry and she, the girl gets turned on. But my favorite is when D'Artagnan's like, well, let me just try this out. And he starts that poem and says that the girl that he's looking at has a poisoned face.
And then just makes out with
and
her.
then he just grabs her and kisses her. And I thought that was...
He's like, plan number 2 is not working. I'm going to try plan number 1.
I'm going to go back with Porthos's here. And Porthos, of course, is like, the boy's a natural. I love that. And then you also get the scene with Athos, where he tells a little bit about his wife that left him or he left. And
right. He's like, she has the branded mark on her arm and she murdered someone. And I'm like literally sitting there going, that's going to come back later.
Yeah, definitely some foreshadowing
point.
there. And we also, at the end of all of that, before we get the Porthos has a dance in there. I've got that one written down too, where he does a little single ladies thing at first. I can't wait till we get it. And then my next scene, I think, goes to the boat at Calais, where they eventually are trying to get to stop the treaty from going to England to the Duke of Buckingham. And then this leads into learning more about the Milady de Winter, and that she, as you said, it comes back. She is actually Athos's former wife. Her name's Sabine, and she's killed a guy and been branded a murderer. So she's going to get put to death here. But great little fight scene in here. I mean, it's not amazing. I have a funny bit from that. But other than that, you're right. It's not like that great, but this is how we get all the information from the Musketeers about the assassination and everything, and that it's going to be on the birthday. So I put that there. But then, as we both have, probably our final scene in this movie is the King's birthday, which leads to the final fight scenes throughout. So go ahead, give it to me.
I don't have much. I mean, it is a great like assassination attempt scene where D'Artagnan is able to thwart the king getting shot, and it's just utter chaos. And then all of the disbanded Musketeers show up, and it's red versus blue, and there's a shit ton of sword fighting, and this is the part that I'm like, I'm paying attention again.
Yeah,
it's like jump back because this is a much larger, much more entertaining fight scene.
Yes,
and it goes inside the castle, where we're like, the cardinal has captured the king and the queen and is making his way through. And you're just watching various people fighting various kingsmen and making their way through.
Yeah.
And then Artemis almost dying. I genuinely thought he was going to die. I was like,
again, they like split up the Musketeers again. They do that several times. You get Aramis fighting, and then coming to, because we learn earlier in the movie that Aramis used to be a student of the Cardinal, and then he comes face to face with the Cardinal Richelieu, and Cardinal Richelieu is a little bit of a cheater, and he shoots him right in the chest. And we get
Yeah.
that, like he's dead, and Porthos runs over. He's fighting his own little silly battles over there. And Athos, he's just kind of
Doing his thing.
doing his thing. He's fighting the eye patch dude, right? Originally,
Yes.
until
Yeah.
D'Artagnan gets there and he's like, "Hey, you killed my father. Prepare to die."
For straight up.
Very much so. You're like, I wonder if Princess Bride drew some of this from the original story.
I mean, he at one point straight up says, "You killed my father."
Yeah.
Like that is verbatim the line he uses when he realizes what's going on.
So a little bit of that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the fight continues all the way into like the dungeons, like where we get more split up fights. We get the very ugly jailer guy.
Yeah, that was random.
Yeah. How did you handle the ugly jailer?
It immediately brought me back to Goonies. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. No, that's
I
good.
was like, oh, it's like the Goonies one. But
He's not as sweet as the Goonies one, though. He's not
No.
as sweet as Sloth.
no, that was a brutal death though. I tried to look because when I was looking for fun facts, I didn't find too many.
Uh-huh.
But I wanted to know what the kill count was for this movie. Because
Oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. That's good.
because I was thinking like, especially because I was like, oh, it's a Disney movie, right? And you know how there's like two kinds of deaths when you're doing like I feel like a fighting movie, sword fighting movie, or specifically like a children's movie where like someone gets knocked out, but we don't necessarily know if they're dead, right? This movie straight up kills people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that guy's dead, like dead, like blood out of his mouth, dead. And that was I was like, what is the kill count here?
I never even thought about that, but you
I
raise a
couldn't
good
find
point.
it.
You
I
couldn't
could
find
not
a kill
find the
count?
information.
I
No.
bet it's so high.
It has to be. And then and then I was like, what is it per person? Because to me, it feels like Aramis or Aramis?
Aramis, yeah.
Aramis might have had
Athos,
the
Porthos, Aramis, yeah.
Aramis had the highest. At least it felt that way.
He's a man of God.
Exactly. Which I was like, okay. He's like, you're gonna meet God.
Mm-hmm. He prays over him too. I love that.
I know. I do. He is my favorite of the three.
Okay. I love that. That is such a good point, though. And as I was watching it, the only time that came up, because I was like so into it, was that first initial scene when it's 5-on-4. Yeah, that original scene where they're dueling and everything. But yeah, I was like, oh, they're just gonna knock him out because I had not seen this movie in a while. Nope, just straight up stab him, and I was like, they'll survive, right?
The scene going way back, the scene where they set the cart on fire and push it into, I thought were innocent
gunpowder
people.
Yeah,
like there was an explosion, and I was like, oh, I'm like, this is not Robin Hood. This is not like make sure that the townspeople are okay. This is, I don't care. We're gonna kill whoever we need to kill to survive. And I was like, okay.
You make a good point. This is a really good point. That's why I'm glad you're doing this. You need to keep me in check because I'm like, yeah, let's just fight and kill everybody. But no, they literally
there's a lot of killing. I was kind of surprised.
And not just that. So if we go back to the boat scene, they not only have to
that
kill
was
all
kind of dark.
They not only have to kill everybody that's with Lady de Winter, but they have to kill the entire boat crew before and then pose them like they're alive.
Yeah, that was a little dark. I was like, oh, that guy's dead. Everyone's dead.
That was bizarre that they were like, let's take the time and pose these guys so we can play a big trick on these people.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild. Weird and wild stuff here. Okay. So I think, obviously in the final fight scene, Cardinal Richelieu is thwarted. The king, who's been a wiener the entire time, he's just a huge wiener, gets the final punch. Doesn't kill Cardinal Richelieu, but just punches him into the water. And I think we're supposed to guess that he gets his comeuppance, but whatever. That's kind of how the movie ends. And then D'Artagnan becomes a musketeer. He gets with Constance. She saves his life, by the way, and he gets, revenge on his father's killer and everything. So that's kind of how it ends for anybody. Sorry for the spoilers. But now let's start breaking down our other categories here. Who you kind of already hinted at it, but who was your favorite character, the one that you thought was a scene stealer?
Oh yeah, my favorite is it's different than best performance. My favorite character was Aramis. I think maybe it was because I was so shocked that it was Charlie Sheen that because again, never seen him anything other than him being Charlie Sheen, that I was like, oh, he can act. Like he can do something different. But I thought it was fun to watch him like quote the Bible and also get laid. Like within the same breath almost.
Yes.
So and he was like the chill of the three. I think like the most level-headed, right? And most in touch with his emotions. Porthos is like the funny one. And then Athos.
Yep.
Athos being there. He's like the leader. I was like, this is Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup to me. Like this.
I like that. I like that a lot. Would you be surprised if I told you who my favorite character was?
I don't know. Who is your favorite character?
Porthos, baby. He's the best.
I can yeah, that's fine. I see.
That's fine. Oh my gosh, he has some
funny.
good lines here. I can't wait to do these quotes here. So let's move into that while we're talking about it. What are some of the quotes that really shine to you, really stood out?
The first was, I said it earlier, give my regards to your sister, which made me think of which was why I kind of thought it was going to be one of your favorite lines. It reminded me of Ham from Sandlot.
Ooh, that's funny. That's
He's like, is that your sister out in left field? Like that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought that was funny. Give my regards to your sister. Oh, I did have one from Porthos when they're asked, like, do you intend to resist? And he goes, don't be stupid. Of course we intend to resist.
I love that. I have that line written down.
As I thought that was good. When the Cardinal is going to, D'Artagnan is trying to escape jail and the Cardinal catches him. He goes, and he objects. And he goes, you object to losing your head. And D'Artagnan goes, yes, I like it where it is. Which I thought was funny. And the last one is a Cardinal line. And he says, all for one and more for me, which is a play on the all for one and one for all. Which I liked that. I was like, ooh, this is like perfect, like villain line.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the when Twitch came up, that for anybody that has notifications set on for the stream, that was the line that I used. All for one and more for me.
Nice.
Classic line. I have a lot of Porthos lines, which are really all I have written down, except for Cardinal and Milady de Winter. First one is champagne, and then Athos replying with, we're in the middle of a chase, Porthos. He goes, you're right, something red. I love that. Let's see here. Rochefort saying, Porthos saying, Rochefort, isn't that a smelly kind of cheese? I thought that was funny. Porthos said, for a chase, the Cardinal recommends his excellent 24 Cabernet. And this is the line that I said that me and my sister quote often. And he says it to D'Artagnan. He says, you can't have any. You're too young. I love that line. You can't have any. You're too young. She would say that to me a lot about drinking alcohol and then probably give me alcohol. The other one I have is when Porthos says or when the music starts playing, when they're doing the winching stuff, he says a lively tune. I'm inspired to dance. And then he gets up and does his single ladies dance and does that. And then the final line that I have from Porthos is after he saves D'Artagnan's life at the end of the movie, after shooting the assassin, D'Artagnan's relieved. He's hanging off of the balcony on the flag or whatever, and says, about time that you came. And Porthos's response is, come, D'Artagnan, we're going to save the king. I love that. He's incredible. He's incredible in this. We've just heard unofficially 56 kills between the three Musketeers. Does that include D'Artagnan?
Probably not.
Interesting. 56 is a lot.
That is a lot. That's a lot of people.
I'm gonna
within
is
the
a lot of
course of
people.
like a couple days too.
Those are like Rambo numbers that we're looking at here.
Mhm.
That's pretty serious. I gotta look into that more. Okay. What was your biggest laugh, cry, scare, or thrill from this movie? It could be all of them. It could be one of them.
I think I don't know if it was the biggest thrill, but the birthday party is what drew me back in. Like I said, I kind of got lost in the middle there for a little while, and then I was like, "Oh, we're at the birthday party!" like
Yeah.
that's the scene, and then that's the kind of fight scene that I got more into. Like that's the one that drew me back in. So I guess that would be the one I'd pick. I kind of had a hard time picking or thinking of that.
I think you're right though. I love that moment, and I'll talk about it here in a couple categories specifically. But when the three musketeers appear after D'Artagnan saved the king by thwarting the assassin or whatever, and they stand in front of the castle and everything, and like the other musketeers come out.
Mhm.
I think that's a really big momentous moment there for them.
Mhm.
The other one, I think the biggest laugh for me in the movie was the winching scene and everything. So I'm partial to that. But Aramis getting shot,
Yeah.
shocking.
Very shocking. If you were sitting next to me, if we watched this together, I was like,
It would have been
jaw
it would have
dropped.
been
The pause.
it
and
would have been
turn.
the pause and turn.
Because I
like
genuinely
that.
thought he was dead. Like I was like, oh, they
Yeah.
are gonna kill him. I mean, they've killed everyone else in this movie. They're gonna kill him now.
What do you have for the most what the thug ridiculous moment?
I think it was the setting the cart on fire and pushing it into the townspeople. I was like,
That's a good one.
And I don't know why I thought they'd be pious. Like I don't know why I thought that we were like, I mean, virtuous. I don't know. They're just like all for one and one for all, and we're defending the king, and that includes blowing up this town. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Nice. I didn't even think about that until you brought that. But I put the squashing of the ugly man.
That's fair. That was
or
tough.
what the stabbing of him still being alive, and then Porthos getting scared and squashing him. Yeah, that was pretty shocking. And like, what the heck did I just see?
Yeah, a little more gruesome than anticipated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the other thing that I was going to move into with the scene kind of from the biggest like thrill or thing of the movie. But what do you think? Do you have a best music moment for this movie?
I don't.
Okay.
I didn't have. I mean, like it's a soundtrack or a score. Like there's no needle drop. There's no like taking a song and putting it into the movie that wasn't made for the movie. There was nothing that stuck out to me. Right.
So before I get into the song that was created from this movie, there's a wonderful music video that plays on the VHS before the movie starts. I'll get into that, but I would say with the score there, and it's all drawn from this one song. Like the score, if you heard the song over and over, you would be like, "Oh,
is
that's
it the
from
one that they
That's from
played
that."
it during the credits?
Yes, All for Love by with Bryan Adams, Sting, and Rod Stewart. One of the greatest songs of the 90s. But there is a scene when the Musketeers, all of them reveal themselves at the end and they rip off that thing. There's like this bum, 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 bum. And that's part of that song. And that is my favorite, probably music moment of the movie. But because the whole that song was written by the guy that did the score for this movie. So you hear those same 6 notes or whatever. Yeah, it's good. So if you haven't listened to that song or seen the music video, you should check it out. Bryan Adams, Sting, and Rod Stewart. Incredible, just coming together. 3 wonderful, raspy voices from the 80s, 70s, and 90s. And my favorite part's coming up right now in this next category, as you didn't have anything, but it's a very obvious F, marry, kill for you, but I am going to make sure that we talk about it. And that is Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. Who would you do, who would you marry, and who would you get rid of?
Okay, so I think I'm getting rid of Athos.
Okay.
Athos is still in love with his ex, and I don't care about
Ooh.
him. And, I think I would F Porthos because Porthos seems like he'd be fun. He's got a headband, like
He's got a sash
he's got a
from
sash.
the Queen of America.
We could have fun with that. And then I am marrying. I am marrying Aramis. I love him.
TMI.
I was like, I love him. I thought he was cute and like he did the poetry thing, and I was like sold. Like that, and that's the one I'm sticking with.
Wow. I've learned a lot in such a little amount of time right now.
So sorry.
I think
Are you marrying Porthos?
wow. I kind of go with yours though. I thought maybe I would switch Aramis and Athos, but I think you're right because I think Athos would be a little insufferable.
Yes.
He
Also,
drinks too
Aramis is in
much.
touch with his emotions. He's romantic.
That the Jesus thing would get on my nerves after a while, but I think you're right. I think you nailed the F, Marry, Kill here.
As always.
As always, you just killed it, knocked it out of the park. We learned a lot about you. A lot. The internet knows a lot now.
Sorry, internet.
It's okay. It's recorded forever, and
Part of the game.
we don't have to. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Confidence. I love it. I love this. All right. Who do you think gave the best performance in this movie?
Honestly, I put Kiefer. I put as much as
Wow.
I did. Shocking, I know. Because I think it felt like he took it seriously. I mean, he was the only one who had like the most of an arc or depth or with the whole like his wife being a murderer and re-meeting her later in the movie. And I don't know. I thought everybody sucked. Just in terms of like, I'm like, you know what? I don't hate this.
Yeah.
I thought Kiefer did
I
it.
think-
Also, because I was like, this is the 24 guy, and I've never seen him outside
Yeah.
of anything other than 24. I was shocked. I was like, oh, we could put him in a period piece. Cool.
Yeah. He was also in a cowboy movie around this time with Woody Harrelson. It is a comedy. It is something. I'll tell you that. It's called The Cowboy Way. Nobody
Okay.
should check it out.
Nope.
Chat says, what about Dart? And I'm not sure they've seen this movie in a long time because Chris O'Donnell sucks in this movie.
He is the
not
worst.
good.
Everybody did better than Dart.
We all
He
see
is there
it
for
because
blue eyes, and that is it.
yes, he is there to be pretty. If you've seen Batman in Batman Forever or Batman and Robin, it's the same thing. Like that poor guy, I know he's went on to have a very successful career, and I think he was on NCIS LA or whatever, but like, dude sucks. Bad. He's bad.
It was rough.
He's bad. I think my best performance is a two-way tie. I like yours. I'm glad that we're very different in this movie. It's made it really fun. Mine is a two-way tie between Tim Curry and sorry. Oh, that was for F, Marry, Kill. Okay. Well, you got me to say bad 1,000 times. Tim Curry and Michael Wincott, who were the two villains of the movie, essentially. I love Tim Curry in anything that he's in. He is amazing. He is 100% in as Cardinal Richelieu, and like he's just so good at being a bad dude.
This is the first movie where I disliked Tim Curry, and I don't mean his acting, like because I'm a massive Tim Curry fan. But even when he's a bad guy, I still like him, and I like really hated his character, which is again a testament to how good he did. Because I hated him. I was like, this is the first time I got skeezed out by Tim Curry. I've
and
also
Michael
never seen
Wincott. Oh yeah, you've never seen it. Pennywise, so good. And Michael Wincott is his kind of associate, the guy with the eye patch, who is also kind of a Tim Curry in this situation, like always playing villains. He's a villain in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which is the one with Kevin Costner. He's a bad guy in that movie, and he also is a secondary villain to Alan Rickman's Sheriff of Nottingham in that movie. But he's got this like it seriously sounds like has rocks in his throat, like that. He is gravel voice. The movie The Crow, which I think comes out a year later in 1994. He's the bad guy in that movie. He's a bad guy in a lot of movies, but I think he is wonderful. And I was glad to see him really recently in the last couple of years. He was in Jordan Peele's Nope. Which he wasn't a villain in that movie, but he was very good. And I was glad to see him because I had not seen him in probably 20 years of acting. So I was glad that he existed. So yeah, I felt like they gave the best performance. I felt like, I just think they gave the best performance. So
No, I agree. They did.
Okay. Next category we have is recasting. I actually didn't write anybody down, which probably sucks, but I wanted to have a conversation. So
I
I'm gonna let you start.
I only had one recast for 1993, and it's because I'm an idiot. And when I first saw like the Three Musketeers, like when I pulled up Disney Plus, I went, "Oh, Ewan McGregor's in this movie," and that's definitely not Kiefer. I thought that Kiefer was I thought like the way his hair was, and like it was just like his side of his face. I was like, "Oh, Ewan McGregor," and I'm like, that's not him, which I found out within about 15 minutes. But I think he would have done a good job as Athos in this movie, like maybe even better. But that is my only 1993 recast, is that I would put Ewan McGregor as Athos.
Okay. There were a lot of people, and I'll go ahead and jump into a fun fact here. A lot of people that were up for the casting in 1993. I'll just throw some of those out there. Disney really wanted Robert Downey Jr. for a part in that. Brad Pitt turned down the role of D'Artagnan. Much different movie. William Baldwin, who we saw in Sliver this year. Johnny Depp, Gary Oldman, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Carrie Ellis, Al Pacino was sought out by Disney to be a part in this movie, which crazy to think that any of those people would have been in this movie. Much different movie if some of those actors get in there. They just don't fit. Some of these guys don't fit. Johnny Depp, no. Not into that, but that's just some of the names that were being thrown around in 1983. Did you do a 2023 list?
I did a couple. Yes.
Okay.
So I made, starting off strong, Milady as Florence Pugh, because I want Florence Pugh to be in everything.
Oh yeah.
I also would I would ask Florence Pugh to put a knife to my face like that. She is she's so
wow.
But I'm just like, yes, I want her in that role. Anyway, moving on. Eye Patch Guy, his official name.
Okay.
To
Eye
me,
Patch Guy, I love it.
Looks like a combination of James Franco and Adam Driver. Like him in that. I don't know. I was like, I think James Franco would be more fun. But either of them I think would be good Eye Patch Guy.
I like that.
And then for Athos, Aramis, and Porthos, I tried to like throw some together. The only one that I was like legitimately like, yes, I do want to do this as the recast was, and I'm gonna butcher his name, Regé-Jean Page.
Okay.
He's in the season 1 of Bridgerton, but he's also in the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Very good. And I mean, his whole monologue in Bridgerton, like, kind of is like, again, he can be romantic, he could be poetic, and I thought he would be a really good Aramis.
Okay, I like that.
But I didn't have anyone really good for Athos or Porthos. You can probably pull anybody from Bridgerton and just stick them in roles, and it'd be fine.
Well, a couple things I want to talk about, and maybe you can say yay or nay or anything. I looked into, like, I was like, okay, for the Three Musketeers specifically, I was like, actors in their 30s. And then I just went through a list of people. And like, at one point I was like, wouldn't it be funny if it was Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pine, and Chris Evans as the Three Musketeers? And I was like, who would be who? And I was like, Chris Pine has to be Porthos, because he's the
Yes.
funniest of the three, I think.
You think really?
Well, Chris Hemsworth's pretty funny.
I think I'm thinking Chris Hemsworth as Thor, because Thor's kind of silly. Like,
Yeah.
I think he would be a good Porthos.
So I like those.
Yeah.
Like real kitschy. Like, hey, let's put all three Chris's in this. That would be funny.
I'm here for it.
I did love I did love your Adam Driver as either the Cardinal or the eye patch guy. I think he would be perfect in this. Let's see some of the other ones. Donald Glover, I think, would be a good fit in this role. I also wanted to throw out the idea of an all-black cast.
In what?
Donald Glover, I feel like I think he could be a good Athos, honestly. Like, I know he's known for more comedy and stuff, but I think he'd be a good brooder a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of him as like
Lando, yeah.
Yeah, he did like
could be a good Porthos.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Theo James would be another guy to throw out there as like one of the bad guys. Maybe Cardinal Richelieu. Do you know who Theo James is?
I know that name. I can't think of a face.
He's one of the guys from White Lotus season 2. He's the one with the wife, the blonde wife.
Yes.
He could
be eye patch guy.
Yeah, he could be eye patch guy.
Because I think he kind of
but yeah,
like Franco anyway.
I thought it would be kind of cool to have an all black cast of Three Musketeers. Reason why Alexandre Dumas is famously black. I thought, hey, let's put these guys in here. So like Donald Glover would be great. Daniel Kaluuya would be great in this. Guy that's in Haunted Mansion, who I love, Lakeith Stanfield. I think he'd be Lakeith forever. Put Lakeith in everything. I was like, yeah, put those guys in there. That would be great. Michael B. Jordan, throw him in there. Like
I said, Regina G. Page.
Yeah, there you go. Ben Adair, whatever his name from Barbie, and yeah, put him in there. I think that would be great. I think if you were to do a good Three Musketeers movie, like we need more roles for men in this world, but like you could put some really, really good names in here and make a fun movie, and people would go see it.
I agree.
Just put Andrew Garfield and Robert Pattinson in it, and I'm in. And throw in Daniel Radcliffe.
I genuinely did try. I was like, can I put Daniel Radcliffe in this? And I couldn't think of where I could put him. But I tried.
Put him as the Cardinal. He's a good bad guy too.
He would be a good Cardinal. That'd be fun.
Yeah. He's a very short Cardinal, but we can't fault him for that.
Oh, and I had one more.
Okay.
For the king, the berries and cream guy.
Oh yeah. Are we sure it's not him? Are we sure it's not him?
Same haircut as the berries and cream guy.
That poor guy. He is such a wiener. Like there's no way to make. Yeah, but
he got the kingdom.
No,
he really made out.
There is a scene where he is sword fighting, like practicing sword fighting in that, and he's like shaking in that scene. I'm like, I hate this guy so much. I hate him.
I know that they picked someone who was young. Like that was the point, right? To like, he was the prince that kind of got thrusted into this role, like was not intending for this, yet got, married to the queen for like a peace treaty type of situation. Doesn't really know her. Like I get why they did it, but they didn't flesh it out enough. Like you had to come to those conclusions on your own. And even so, I'm like, can you give him a regular ass haircut?
No, they couldn't.
No. Truly.
He just looked like a wiener. It's the only way I can describe him.
Berries and cream guy.
He is berries and cream guy for sure. For sure. And one thing I will kind of say about this movie, and obviously we could fix for the future, is the lack of any good women parts in this. I thought all three of the main women roles in this movie were lackluster at best, and they have good actresses playing them too.
Milady was good.
There were some lines. No, especially Constance, and I love Julie Delpy.
There was no need for her.
Yeah, I agree. And Julie Delpy is amazing. If you've ever, I mean, and anybody, I recommend these movies to anybody, but the Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight movies, it's that trilogy. It's just her talking with Ethan Hawke. They're so good. They're so amazing. One of the best things I've seen in the last, like, I went back, I watched them all over the last like 3-4 years. But she's amazing in those movies. Great French actress. But yeah, she doesn't get anything to do. Gabrielle Anwar doesn't get very much to do as Queen Anne. She has one like toe-to-toe scene where creepy Cardinal Richelieu puts her robe on her. And then there was something about Milady de Winter that I didn't love. Like, she talked very breathy for me, and I was just like, I'm out on it. It was like she was trying to be too sexy and evil at the same time, and I wasn't buying it. So
That's fair.
Yeah. Let's flesh those characters out a little bit more. Let's give them more to do. That's what I'm voting for. What fun facts do you have?
I only have one, and it is about Milady. So Milady is the first character under the Disney banner of movies to commit suicide, which I thought was interesting.
Very interesting.
That's all I know. I thought that was because I thought of that. I was like, this is a children's movie. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there were
again with the killing.
Yeah, a lot of killing. I mean, like a lot of like beheading, like or going to behead. They don't actually do it. But yeah, she's like, I'm gonna go, and I'm like, okay. She jumps off a cliff, and I'm honestly pretty badass way to go. But that's the only fun fact I had, was that's the first in a Disney movie, which I was like, what's the rest of them? But first in the Disney banner to commit suicide.
Yeah. And I think 2 years later, Pumbaa becomes the first Disney character to fart in a Disney movie. So,
I did know that.
Breaking barriers. That's what Disney's all about,
For sure.
Some other fun facts that I had written: Gabrielle Anwar, Queen Anne, she was actually pregnant during filming. So they had to take out a lot of her costuming, which this is a weird period to do that in, because everything is very and do that. So yeah, I thought that was a nice little thing. Sam Raimi, who's very famous for the Evil Dead franchise and Spider-Man franchise in the early 2000s, was considered for directing this film. Obviously, it would have had a much different feel, and probably would have been a little bit funnier. Straight up comedy, maybe. Other things that I have written down here were Kiefer Sutherland, Chris O'Donnell, Oliver Platt, all spent 6 weeks fencing and writing. Charlie Sheen missed a lot of that because of filming Hot Shots Part 2. And you'll notice that in a lot, Charlie Sheen, and I tried to look at this beforehand, Charlie Sheen does do some sword work, but it looks a little bit more basic when he's doing it. And he ends up punching people or throwing people more than any of the other Musketeers. And that's just because he just doesn't have the practice.
That's fair.
So that was a neat one that I found out. What's the best thing you can say about this movie? The thing you like the most?
Tim Curry. Tim Curry's in it.
Okay.
It was fun. It wasn't bad. It was. I did get bored, but like it's an adventure. I don't feel like we get, I was thinking about this as I was watching it. We don't get very many adventure movies. And what I mean adventure, like pirate, sword fighting, like something that's like Robin Hood-esque, or like if we get an action adventure movie now, it is some type of a Marvel movie. Or it's like the president is under attack and I need to shoot everyone kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we don't get a lot of period pieces that are action period pieces anymore. So I was like, that was fun.
Yeah. Okay.
I
like that.
I don't know why. I enjoy fencing. Like I've never fenced in my life, but I always enjoy watching. You should fence. Yes, sure. With all my skill. I do like watching like sword fighting in movies, I think, because I know it takes a lot of choreography and learning. So I thought that was really fun.
You like watching fencing in movies. I like watching fishing videos in TikTok. It's one and the same.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, if you could pair this movie, I've been looking forward to this. You had told me that you have good pairings for this.
I've said
So don't let me down. You have
I'm
7?
several.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I
I
have
was like
5.
7? Oh, wow.
Because
If you could pair this
I am a
with
menace.
any movie.
You're not
Okay.
gonna like them. I'm just.
Oh,
didn't
I don't
promise
care.
that. So the first is the three Musketeers, which is the Mickey Mouse version of the Three Musketeers with Mickey, Goofy, and Donald. Naturally.
Classic.
I did put The Princess Bride because of the
Same.
I killed you killed my father, the sword bit. I was like, oh, very Princess Bride. I put Newsies because of the song Seize the Day. They say all for one and one for all and all for one in the song Seize the Day. That's the sole reason. Like, because it's
Okay.
but it's like they're referencing the Three Musketeers. That's like that's that pairing. I also pulled Aladdin because the Cardinal's role really reminded me of Jafar.
Okay.
Like being the king's second in command, wanting to take over the throne, going to take the princess or the queen as his bride when he does become the ruler, like very Jafar. And then the last one I have, because I needed another adventure movie where Tim Curry is the bad guy, Muppet Treasure Island.
Amazing.
I love Muppet Treasure Island. It is my favorite Tim Curry movie. It is my favorite Muppet movie. It made me want to be a pirate when I was a child. That was like, I thought, a legitimate career option.
Yeah.
So those are my pairings.
No, I love those. I especially love your last two. I think Aladdin is, when you were talking about Aladdin, I like the comparison of Cardinal Richelieu and Jafar. I actually can see a little bit of Aladdin in D'Artagnan. I think that's a good comparison there too. And Genie and Abu would be, they could be little musketeers. They could be Athos or Porthos, one of those. So, and shut up. And Spencer, just because you come in here late to the stream and put your comments in the chat doesn't mean that you can just, start mouthing off. Okay.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say here.
That was the example of when I was saying, I was like, even when Tim Curry's a bad guy, I don't hate him.
Oh yeah.
In Muppet Treasure Island, I don't hate him in Muppet Treasure Island, but I hated him. I hated his character in this movie.
Steven has said you can still be a pirate. Just got to start sailing the 7 seas and robbing people.
All right. I need a boat. I can handle the second one.
Because when you're a professional pirate.
Oh, I was going
That'll
for
be
pirates
you
who
someday.
don't do anything.
Oh, that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother.
The whole other genre. That one comes
That's
with
some-
religious
that's some
trauma.
Yeah, I was about to say that's some religious stuff. Yes. For all you that are coming in late, I'm very sorry. I did mean 6 o'clock my time. I'm sorry that you showed up late. That's on you. That's on y'all. Sorry, Spencer, you messed up. The only one that I said I would pair this with a double feature, other than Princess Bride, I thought this was very reminiscent of Princess Bride, was Three Amigos, and just because of the three nature. It's the only reason. I kind of sucked on that one. I'll be honest. I'm glad
Three
you came
dudes
with
in
yours because
fancy
they're so much
outfits.
better. Exactly. With some all for one and one for all kind of thing there. So what if you what would your rewatchability rating be for this movie?
I gave it a 2.
Okay.
1 would be like, I never want to rewatch this movie. 2 is if I am with somebody and they were like, I'm gonna die if I don't watch this movie right now, I'd go, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
What?
I have no desire to rewatch.
So if somebody was dying and they said they would die if, it was a really, really, really bad movie, are you out? You're like, tough?
I'm like,
You're
sorry.
gonna have to die.
Like if they wanted to watch, I can't remember the name of it, but the Jonah Hill movie that we watched at the beginning of the year.
Oh yeah, You People, I think is what it's
I
called.
hated that movie.
Yeah,
thought it-
I would let somebody die.
I'd be like, because I was thinking that's the worst movie I've seen this year. And I'm like,
Yeah,
if
that's a really
I'm
bad
like,
one.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't let them die, but I'm like,
I would.
that's the movie you need to rewatch to live. Okay. I mean, my favorite movie of all time is Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Brandy. I don't have much room to speak, but
You like what you like,
I like what I like.
but You People, the movie is not one of them.
No.
And I agree with you. It's a bad movie. It is a bad movie. If you had to give it an overall rating, what would you give it?
I gave it a 3. 3 out of
Okay.
5. It's not horrible. I just was bored.
I get it. I gave it 3 for both scores, and the only 3 in the rewatchability has to do with my nostalgia and love for this movie and the quotes that I share with my older sister. So that's where I land on that one. So we're close, and I think Spencer probably gave it a 3 as well. I think he was kind of mid on it. Not that his opinion matters. He got really mad at me, but whatever. I'm
Sorry.
over it, and he should be too. Well, hey, there's opportunities for Heart and Souls to come back if they bring it to streaming somewhere and more people can watch it. Well, you can get over it. I think this is where we'll end it in here, where I usually thank people. So, Alyssa, thank you for watching this movie with me, being willing to change midweek and watch this movie, especially with a busy weekend or I know a lot was going on. So I really appreciate you. And thank you so much for watching this movie for me and with me and communicating everything. It's great.
Anytime.
Now, is there anything that you've watched recently that you would like to recommend to the people?
I have not really watched any movies because I have solely been watching Steven Universe.
Okay.
I have now entered into season 5 out of 5. I have been flying through it, and I love it. It is so wholesome and so adorable and has so much lore. And if anyone out there has a recommendation that involves lore, please tell me because I love lore. But it's been precious, and I love it. And each episode's like 10 minutes long, and it puts my brain on the shelf for a minute. I see Nimona in the chat, and that is on my list. Because I think I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of that. And I did see the Barbie movie. I did actually leave my home of watching Steven Universe to go see the Barbie movie, and I thought it was incredible. I thought it was 5 stars. I loved it very, very much.
Great. Those are good recommendations. I've seen both and can attest. Those are both good movies or television show. I love Steven Universe as well. So
I will say, and I think I was talking to, or I mentioned this to you at some point, but I haven't fully fleshed out the thought. But of the movies I've seen this year, I've seen a lot of old movies, or like old movies meaning not within the last 10 years, like a lot of 80s, a lot of 90s. For this show, and I've just been getting really, really tired of watching women be in like damsel in distress roles, or where the entire reason for the woman to be in the plot is to like assault her. And that's mostly the 80s, and that's been like, I've seen 9 to 5. I've watched Back to the Future, which I love, but I'm just like, I was really tired of watching that. And then I got to see Barbie, and I was like, this is what I've been missing.
That's good. That means, progress.
Yes. And Steven Universe.
That's what and Steven Universe, which is
both of them have strong female characters.
Non-binary characters too.
True.
Well, I have seen a few movies this week. I've watched more than I thought I had watched. I went to this and I was like, I'm not sure I've seen a movie this week, but I remember I kind of went a little top heavy at the start of my week. I watched Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and in honor of Paul Rubens' death, Pee-wee's Big Adventure this past week, which I love so very, very much and hate that he passed away to cancer. And then I also watched Shiva Baby for the first time, which is an uncomfortable experience. It's a very quick movie. but it is very Gen Z, I would say. And I hate to even generationalize it, but that's what I would say. But really good movie. It's kind of a bottle episode kind of movie where it takes place all at a Shiva for mutual friends. And there's the main character is this woman who also sees her ex-girlfriend at this show, and then also a guy that she is seeing in a unique way. And it all kind of comes to a head at this funeral. So it was very there were definitely a lot of moments where I was like, ugh, oh, don't do that, please. And there's some really good comedic moments in there too. So would highly recommend. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else, but I will tell everybody the next movie. And that next movie is called Hard Target, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't typically do or like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, but I've never seen this one. And unfortunately, it is not streaming for free anywhere. It is on video on demand. So if you do want to keep up with this and watch the movies that you will watch, you can start your own podcast, which is what I would tell Spencer to do since he's still bitching about the change this week. So you can do that, Spencer, and we can talk about Hard Target next week. Again, thank you, Alyssa, for joining me this week and being so, easy to deal with when I'm switching the movies last minute. So thank you again, your sweetheart, and I really appreciate it. So we'll see you next week here on 52/1993. Thanks, everybody.